Okay, my name is Suhardi, and in this time, I would like to presentate my proposal entitled Developing ELC Material for Physics Education Department Student at UIN Alauddin Makassar, Mechanic Quantum. Okay, uh, for the first point is definition of terms. There is five terms will be defined by the researcher. Those are development process of instructional material. There is material development is a process of analyzing, producing and evaluating the learning materials. The developed material should offer profit to learners. The second is ELT materials. ELT is a acronym for English language teaching. English teaching material is a collection of information that contains English learning contents used by teachers or learners to facilitate the learning process. ELT in the study is English material specifically intended for physics physics education students, specifically for mechanic quantum topic. The third is physics education student, a group of students who study physics specifically in the field of education. The teaching and learning process can be found at high school and university levels. In this research, the physics education students is question are those who are waiting the scope of UIN Alauddin Makassar. The fourth is ESP. ESP in a area of teaching in English that is devoted to specific fields according to the needs of the fields of knowledge and professions using the language. The last is mechanic quantum. The basic branch of physics is used to describe atomic and subatomic system. Okay, and the next point is review of related research. Rukmana in 2021, her research was titled Need Analysis on English for Physics Education Department student at UIN Alauddin Makassar. The study makes use of the data from her study. Her research developed the that the circumstance of the learning process has a significant impact on the student needs. The purpose of English learning for students is to develop their capabilities, particularly their reading and speaking abilities. Furthermore, English vocabulary is the most important thing for the student of master in English for physics science. Since they impact our skill in studying English. And the next review is from Fadila Sari in 2016. Had concerned her research developing instructional materials based on inquiry learning model. In the process of developing materials, she used the ADI models. Also, her research findings found that the materials were applicable to be taught of 7th grade student in junior high school. The next review is Nur Alam in 2021 had concerned the research entitled Designing ELC Material for Islamic Economic Department System and Principle of Islamic Economic at UIN Alauddin Makassar. She used research and development as research method and applied AD models to design it. The result of the research was the syllabus. Also, the materials of the module could use as a learning source in Islamic economic department. The next review from Rashid in 2020 had considered her research developing English printed material on them of environment for early young learners at Paut Terpadu, Joy Kids Makassar. This study applied the models in conducting the process of developing the material. Printed material was the product of this research. The printed material was applicable to teachers and students in learning English activities. The next material is ELC materials. Teaching materials are resources that can assist instructors in creating a successful teaching and learning process. In the teaching and learning process, instructional material is crucial. This is backed by Howard and Major in 16 and 1995, who said that English teachers require instructional resource, textbooks, videotapes, and photographs, as well as internet, are used extensively by teachers to help their teaching and students learning. There are 10 parameters for creating effective English teaching materials according to Howard and Major. The first is English language instructional material should be contextualized. The second is material should encourage interaction and be creative in terms of language. The next is English language teaching should enable students to improve learning abilities and techniques. The next is English language teaching material should allow for an emphasis on both form and function. The next is English language teaching material should provide chance for integrated language use. The next is English language teaching material should be authentic. The next point is English language education researchers should be linked to each other to establish a succession of abilities, understandings, and language items. The next is English language teaching material should be visually applying. English language teaching material should have clear direction. And the last point is English language teaching material should be adaptable. Okay. The next point is development process of instructional materials. This procedure also entails looking at the basics and creation of learning materials, as well as their designs, authoring, implementation, assessment, and analysis. Material creation takes center stage in course design, and it may both educate and train new instructors. Teachers can utilize material development to better understand and implement language acquisition theory. Azarnos et al. 2016. Teachers believe that. Teacher believe that. In addition to the whiteboards and textbooks given by the instructor, researchers are required to support the teacher's efforts in the learning process. These research are referred as instructional material in general. Eviong and Igiri in 2015. The next is English for Specific Purpose or ESP. There are two types of characteristics in English for specific purpose, absolute and variable. ESP aims to meet the particular requirements in the learners by incorporating the discipline underlying methodology, activities, and focus on language skills, discourse, and genres. Variable ESP characteristics have been connected or produced for certain disciplines and learning contexts. The approach is distinct from standard English. It is designed for adults who are intermediate or advanced in their learning. Dudley Evans and E.C. Jones in 1998. Okay, the next point is English for physics education students. English content designed specifically for physics education students is known as English for physics education students. They have a wide range of language skills with those who have committed to learning English at institution being fluent in the language, while the remainder is at an intermediate level. Esmili 2015. The next one is syllabus. The syllabus, according to Brown, defines the emphasis for what is to be studied, as well as the reason for how knowledge should be picked and structured. And Sabah in 2018 also claims that the curriculum should utilize for blueprinting. It is a classroom management method that the instructor implements. The term of syllabus is used to describe the process of choosing information in this context. Dewi 2015. A good syllabus focuses on what learners can do rather than what they can't. It is assumed the student will be able to perform things for the first time or better than previously as the result of our training. Canon 2018. Okay, the next is mechanic quantum. Quantum mechanics can be considered the study of physics on a very small scale. Although there are also certain macroscopic systems that are applied directly, the quantum descriptor appears since it is different from classical mechanics. Certain quantities take only discrete values, however, some quantities still have continuous values. As we shall see, quantum mechanics can be defined as macroscopic systems that are applied directly. In quantum mechanics, particles have wave properties and a particular wave equation. The Schrödinger equation governs how these waves behave. The equation is different in some ways from the other wave equation, but the difference will not stop us from applying all of our usual strategy to solve a wave equation and handle the resulting solution. The next is research method. Research and development is a process for creating a product that be tested for efficiency in usage. Borg and Gall define research and development as the process of creating and verifying learned products. In other words, it is a method of creating goods the way by be employed in the learning process. Mahira et al. In 2006 state research and development are challenged in classroom research as well as techniques and theory in the production of education goods. There are four types of products development process: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. The next is research development models. English materials in the form of printed materials and are designed and developed. The AD model will be used by the researchers to build an effective design. The ADA model in the most widely employed in the education field. Any education products can benefit from the AD paradigm. AD is made up the following steps: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. The next point is research participant. Referral research participant will play a role of this data collection. Therefore, this research will be including document and validators. The first is document. Due to this research is a follow-up from the previous research by Rukmana in 2021. Need analysis on English for Physics Education Department student at UIN Alauddin Makassar. The researcher will use the need analysis data contained in the document as a data source in designing instructional material for physics education students. And the second is validators. Validation aims to evaluate, get assumes assessments and suggestion for the product's material from the validator teams. In the study, there will be two validators who are lecturer from English Education Department. The next is research instruments. Research instrument is a tool the researchers use to collect data for a study. Its use must be based on the type of study, research object, time, data source, and other elements that assist the research. There are many different types of research instruments that may be used to collect information for a research study. In this study, the will employ an evaluation checklist as an instrument. Evaluation checklist will be given the validators the evaluate the validity of the products. In this research, syllabus and prototype material will be assessed by these experts at the time of the evaluation phase. All forms of risk and impact assessment are infused with expert validation assessment. Kinney and von Winterfeld in 1991. The next is data collection procedure. In this process, researchers will go through 5 phases known as AD. As the involved in AD, except the process implementation phase is the first is analysis phase. For this phase, researchers will take data that has been done from research by Rukmana, and the result of her research was mentioned that there are 12 topics needed by physics education department students, including the gravity, mechanics, quantum, relativity, temperature, electricity, magnetic force, equilibrium, mechanics, quantum, optics, gases, and relation. They need English content that is studied specifically with their major instead in general. The second is design process. During these steps, the researcher will create a syllabus based on data from need analysis. The syllabus created will be a prototype and this prototype will be examined and evaluated again by the researchers. The third is after evaluating prototype 1, the researcher will develop English material based on the design of the syllabus and will produce developed material or prototype 2. The fourth is evaluation. As the last phase, the researcher will be collaborate with the validator team and assess the material validity. So validator will be decide if the previous prototype material is effectively developed and may be utilized as a result of English material module as a source lesson. The next is data analysis techniques. Data that has been obtained will be analyzed in two ways, quantitatively and qualitatively. Data obtained from the evaluation checklist will be processed quantitatively, while the suggestion comments are given by the validators will be loaded in the instrument will be processed qualitatively process. The first is quantitative analysis. In terms of the evaluation checklist, the researchers will be given these instruments to the validators to test the product's validity. When the data is collected, it will be quantitatively processed. The overall response in assessment checklist will be based on the Likert scale idea. Microsoft Excel will be used in computer the answer results. the score derived from the computation result will be classified using to the able scale shown below alum from 2021. The second is qualitative analysis. The researcher will use the suggestion from expert also lecture as the data resource. There are three-step analysis data qualitative to Lauren R. Gay, Gay's theory, Mills and Gay in 2018. Those are pre-coding. In this step, the data or additional notes is in example suggestion from the validator will be read carefully by the researchers. Researchers by must know the main idea from the suggestion given. The next is coding. The researcher will categorize the instrument problems and reviews the information. The last is summarizing. This step is the process of arranging the previous data and round final statement to answer the research question. Okay, I think enough for me, and I will close the steps with wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.